Welcome everybody. Y'all ready for this? The Hustle. My name is Metikulus, and these are my co-hosts.
I'm Talia.
And I'm Metikulus. You may have heard me on radio, you may have never heard of me at all, but that's okay.
Cause y'all gon' learn today. Your whole life was a struggle, had to make it out the jungle. This is a show for you. Welcome to the hustle. Under pressure, never break a fold. Keep chasing your goals until you blow. Now, welcome to the hustle.
Welcome everybody. We're back on another episode of the Hustle Podcast, episode 14, with a very special guest, Holden Stephan Roy.
Yo, what's up?
What's going on, man? Tech, how's it going today?
I'm feeling fucking tremendous.
Talia.
How are you guys feeling?
I'm really tired, honestly. I'm trying to stay awake through this one. No offense, Stephen.
So we have one spectrum fully loud. We got one spectrum super low. Perfect. I love that.
I'm amped. We're happy to have you on. I've wanted to have you on for a while. For those of you who may not be familiar, HSR, I've watched this guy literally build a community around himself based on his podcast that he's doing as well as reviews. I had the pleasure of being on his show. I think it was 6, 8, maybe 9 months ago.
It was November.
Talia's pregnant. Just kidding.
Likewise. I was on that show as well.
I'm not
also
pregnant.
No, but
Shut up.
I just want to big you up because you're one of the people in the city on the English side of things, definitely, putting yourself out there to give artists a true platform to showcase their skills, to showcase their work, and to just promote themselves. So I want to big you up on that. I guess the first line of questioning would pretty much be like, how did Behind That Suit come about? Because like I said, I've watched this thing grow immensely over the last year.
I mean, I started with the music in 2012, right?
Facts.
And if you were like doing music back then, it was like really easy to not have to spend money and find yourself performing for like 80 people, like 15-minute sets, and it was a glorious time. I just had this crazy run of constantly getting invited, and then it just stopped. By like 2014, it felt like the scene had shifted with regards to the opportunities available for me. And I'm old. Like, I started at 25, right? And I realized right quick, a lot of the live scene is focused towards young people who have a lot of friends that want to go out to bars. But when you're 27 in an office place and everybody's a parent, you're like, I can't sell your tickets. Like, it's just the end of the day. There's no show for me. I'm like, yo. So I spent like 5 years trying to be like, can we start shows at 7 p.m.? And nobody really wanted to do that. So I just like inevitably was like, this isn't working for me. If I want to actually grow as an older person pushing my 30s, I have to accept that old man hip hop, as I call everything above 25, is an extremely different game than what you see being played by the young people on some mixtape market thing, especially since nobody's selling mixtapes in the streets no more. So with all that, I'm like, what do you do? And simultaneously, I'm working with Justice McFly. Some of you guys may know this
Hell
man.
yeah, shout out. Legendary.
But he's like my day job colleague, criticizing me for not knowing fuck all about hip-hop and telling me, yo, you never listen to Cal? The fuck is wrong with you type thing. So he's giving me like lectures, and he's like educating me on like some of his experiences. And I'm like, say a word. That's some stuff that was really happening, right? And like he was talking about, being part of the groups and just being affiliated with this era. And he looked at me and he's like, you don't want to be a rapper. And I didn't know what he meant then. I know exactly what he means now. It's hard to be a rapper.
There's no love in the game for rappers, bro.
And he was incorrect. I absolutely still to this day want to be a rapper, pushing it heavy. But like, he was right in the sense that like, I don't think I'm ever gonna be that like Drake ass idol image person, because like now I'm 33. I do not look the conventional attractiveness of a pop star. It is what it is. And like, you kind of have to be self-aware. Like, who the fuck's coming to see a 33-year-old? You gotta do some different shit in that world. You can't be coming out there like, bro, I fuck bitches.
He's
I
right.
I got this shit. I sibling. And I'm like, okay, cool, but like, I have a job. Like
I
have
pay
a career
bills.
and shit.
I do groceries.
Like, straight up. But that's kind of like what it is. I wake up, I read books, I go to work, I care about my health, I'm trying not to die. Like, this is where my life is at. I'm in my 30s now, but I also still want to like find a way to get paid off of it. So anyway, back to like 2016, I'm working with him, and he's an SEO specialist, meaning that man knows all about Google and optimization. Like, he makes actual money per DMs going around. He's a specialist.
Damn, for real?
He's like really
Shout
doing
out to
well.
Justice, bro.
So I watched this man flip his hip hop career into like an SEO specialist, and like, yo, it's not even worth it for him to come on my show right now because there's too much bags for him to get. Plus, if it's like, and I'm like so proud of him, like, because I like watched him flip some shit.
For sure.
And then I realized what SEO is about and how to like monopolize Google. So I started the album review thing because I didn't know enough about hip hop, And I think a lot of people who rap here today don't know enough about hip hop as a culture and its history, to the extent where like I really don't think they do.
Well, definitely not the new generation.
Because if anybody's saying a word like hip hop doesn't start with booty shaking and party music, you don't know about hip hop.
I did a whole rant about that during our interview on your show.
So like the lyrical stuff, all of that, it's the expansion pack. So you can really see how people don't go back to 76 with Cool Herc, right? And so people don't really study the hip hop the way that like you do through an album perspective. And then I started looking at albums year over year over year. We did this for a while, trying to like make it work, and it didn't work. But I did get a lot better with music, and so I started making more albums. And like I worked with Montreal people, like my boy Matt, I met him at the call center, and then the homegirl gave me beats and this kind of shit. So I'm trying to push the music thing. We're learning how to do DIY shit, like make our own music videos, like do all of this, push the reviews. But at the end of the day, you do something long enough and you realize, this isn't gonna work. So like Behind That Suit originally went from being like, I'm studying hip hop publicly and I want to get paid on views, to the review culture on YouTube is whack and don't fucking trust that shit. It's not correct or proper. It's going through a promotion of the gentrification of hip hop at the moment, and it's really wild the way these white boys be trying to make anything that's not middle class white boy shit sound really better than other stuff. It's really wild. And I say this as somebody who spent 4.5 years heavy in the review game. But I also studied new music and old music at the same time. So I know for a fact that everybody that complains about music is just looking at Billboard and not digging through the crates to see what's out there.
Yeah.
And then they ignored the Grammys last year, where it was 5 lyrical powerhouses that kind of got the Grammy noms. Like, everybody needs to shut the fuck up.
Royce 5'9" should have won, by the way. But anyway, continue.
And then, like, a bunch of stuff. So, but reality is nobody's clicking on the reviews, and everybody hates on you when you do reviews because you can't be honest, because everybody that watches that's like a super fan. So I started trying to do local reviews. Nobody gives a shit. I can promise you that much. I even tested it. You can see, like, I did the Cool Man Logan review and I did the Merker Miyagi review, and none of you clicked on it. So why?
I clicked on the Merker one.
Maybe, but he also pushed that and said blah blah blah. But nobody watched it because I have the average watch time metrics too. So nobody watched.
I said I clicked on it. Goddammit.
I wanted to clarify it, but if nobody's watching it, then why am I doing it? So like people were asking. Then I realized somewhere along the way, I talked to Preach Ancobia in June 2020.
Shout out to Preach. Hold on, pause. You're dropping some heavy names here.
Yeah. He was great. He's a huge part of why I'm where I am. But like so I started doing the interviews too. Like that actually was August 2019. I went to Toronto, met up with Meyer Clarity, who's my homeboy, and like we did the thing in the studio. And then I realized interviews would be a cool way to meet people because I don't know anyone and people don't like me. It's the facts of it. It is what it is. I was a shithead for a very long time and I burned a lot of bridges. A lot of shit talking.
You and me both.
So I realized, also, like, I'm 30 something. Everybody needs value, and value is not I rap. Everybody raps. I got my girlfriend to rap on songs just to prove anybody can rap, and she sounds blesser than people. Like, it's that easy to be a rapper now. Having a career is a whole other thing. So it's like, what else do you bring to the table? And so I'm like, I can do album reviews. That's like a bullet in the arsenal. What if I do interviews? So I'm like, I already know how to talk for 4 hours straight. That's super easy. And then I like flipped it into that, and I begged people for like a year. Like nobody wanted to do it. I was just begging all throughout 2020. And then COVID saved my life because the government said nobody could come to my crib, and I think my neighbors will snitch. So I'm like, let's do this on Zoom. And then honestly, it was just like, I just started talking to more people. All of it's to promote my music, honestly.
For sure,
Just,
obviously.
all of it is just like, I exist in this fucking city, okay? And then I started just talking and realized, I'm now talking to like 3 to 4 creative professionals a week and hearing their life stories on cam really publicly and learning how they marketed themselves and learning how they like achieved longevity in the game and learning like how it works to be like not famous but still do it, because like nobody's famous, right? So it's a completely different world.
Bong, say that again, please. Nobody's fucking famous in this city, so
Nobody's famous, and you want to know
adjust the way you act, please.
like and here's the thing, like I've had a monetized YouTube channel for years. You see 80,000 views, that's like $300, okay? Like just understand in the context of dollars what you're getting back on that. Like it's nothing. And you're not getting crazy brand deals either. That's like an extra $200-$300 max if you have a brand deal on like that volume. And like in my day job, we play with like $20,000 a month social media budgets. Let me tell you something. People here don't have that kind of social media budgets, but we're competing for the same audience.
Facts.
So like, what are we selling? Like, what are we doing here? I don't know. I can go on a lot about
so yeah, let me just cut you off there. So like all of these realizations that you kind of came to over the course of doing this, is that what kind of made you jump over to Twitch? Because honestly,
I forgot
It was
about
Preach. Yeah, big up Preach again. But like honestly, like when I did the interview on your show, right? And we sat down for 4 hours, whatever it was, and it was all live on Twitch, and we're getting this live interaction like throughout the interview that we can both see from people who are actively listening, which is super cool. But all that to say, like, I literally watched your platform grow. And I gotta say, I think Twitch has more to do with it than YouTube and Facebook combined at this point.
You had a lot to do with it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I would have to be like, I'm just all about giving credit where it's due. So Preach like introduced me to the concept of studying Montreal history. Right. But like, you are a heavy enough hitter that a lot of people looked at me different after you did it. After Rico Blocks did it, and then simultaneously I did it with the homie Flaco Bayo, and then he started getting me like names from New York. And
yeah,
then
we're gonna get into that. Don't worry.
That shit was wild. But then all of a sudden, it's as vain as it was. Like, the product didn't change that much. Trust. It happened too fast for the product to have changed that much. Everybody started, it went from begging everyone to I've been basically booked like 6 to 8 weeks out for
like
the
now they're
entire
asking
year.
you, which is success in my eyes, to be honest.
Yeah, well, the certain tier of people are interested. They're still not where like I would like it to be. There's a lot of people who I don't think are interested like that too, which is fair. And there's a lot of people who like I feel like are disappointed by the outcome of it too. So like they don't feel this desire to promote it because like we do the show and then guess what? All the views are real small after. I don't have nobody pushing no 1,000 views on my side.
Well, it's mostly on Twitch that people are.
No, I have
doing, right? And then you post it afterwards on YouTube.
We even make clips, man.
Yeah,
we have a
clips
clips
too.
channel.
Yeah, I love that. We need to get on that.
We're getting on that.
We need to get on
definitely
that.
getting on that.
I don't know. It's just like where it is. I feel like a lot of people who see it for what it is really fuck with it, but then the world's kind of vain, and now there's a lot of noise in this space that wasn't there before, and it's all love, man. It's the one thing I really wanted was there to be like a lot of English media platforms, because that's how you get like regular non-connected to our scene people to care, is when they see this like flood of people getting like interviewed or talked to like that.
And it's also a community. You see a community literally growing around the English hip hop scene, and you're a pivotal part of that. And like, I don't know, I feel like you don't give yourself enough credit. I feel like you be beating up on yourself. Doesn't he look like he was beating up on himself earlier?
Kind of does.
I'm not lying, right? Give
the bike
yourself
ride.
some credit, bro. Give
Here's
yourself
the
some
thing,
credit.
Like back in the day, I came off a lot cockier, and I know exactly the relevance I have to things. I'm not like, it's not lost on me, but I feel like it's more becoming to just be humble about it. I don't want to be like some of the other people whose heads get a little big, and then all of a sudden they start.
How's my head big?
Honestly, it's not. Like,
You got a big head.
You got a big
Well,
head.
it's getting smaller. I'm
like, you
working
can-
on it, for fuck's sake.
I don't want to go like too deep into it, but you can see it by like how fast people want to monetize and how much they position themselves and the way they frame their value and stuff. I think part of the reason people fuck with me is because like, I'm fully aware of what I'm doing, but like I don't act like it. I try to be like cool about the shit, like, but like, is what you want me to say? I think I'm the shit. Like,
I'm just
that's
a regular
literally what
guy,
everyone says.
I didn't say that, but like, bro, like, don't you could be humble. Humble is great, but bro, like, acknowledge the fact that you bring some shit to the table that before you were doing it, nobody else was fucking doing it on the English side of things.
I want to give 514 Online Mix their credit.
Yeah.
I started before them on just some raw data, but they didn't know I existed until they were deep into it. Okay, so frankly, they were also like, there's no way that like anybody can talk about the modern rush of English media and not include them. We got to give DMS their credit too. Like, they still do their magazine thing. They still like are there. However people feel about whatever value they bring, they're still there.
Shout out
The
to
Glock
Priscilla and
Party.
Feezy.
The Glock Party podcast is pretty cool. Like, I kind of enjoy watching that shit. Like, you guys and them, I watched every episode so far, and I'm just trying to stay up to date with all of that. And I'm like, okay, say word. This is like a cooler place to be than like you can't find anything from our city talking about our city.
Yep.
That's big facts. Big facts though.
Yeah. So all of that was just so I could get beats and shit and make more friends, and it was all just to like, it's who you know, right?
Yeah.
And how do you get to a point where you're relevant?
It's just like networking, pretty much.
Yeah. I don't really care about the views. My like black book is way stacked right now.
Like, I noticed when it comes to content, dude, you have like 1,000 videos on YouTube. Almost 1,000 videos.
I don't even know.
You got 500,000 views on that. It might be small increments on every video, but it does build up.
We
over
clocked
time.
500,000 views, and I was still like, fuck that. I mean, just like the idea of it, and I know as much as I click on certain videos and what, no, there's no way we could fake that. And it's all like organic in the sense that we never paid for advertising, because like I'm an organic marketing specialist. Like I'm the opposite of what you see in Montreal, where it's all paid.
Bots on top of bots.
I'm like, nah, I get paid to teach my company how to like craft communities around boring shit. And so everything now is just about lore building, because like video games attract people and make them watch. I watch like 9-hour videos on a game. If the game is lit enough and there's that much to talk about, I'll put like 15 hours into people talking about a video game.
But wouldn't you just buy the game at that point?
Yo, but it's not the same, because you're not going to catch all the fucking hidden shit. You're not going to catch the lores. You're not going to catch the depth of the universe and all of that. And trust.
You lost me on this one.
So let's say you're playing a game like, I don't know.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Let's take Grand Theft Auto.
Okay, fine. Similar.
Yeah, I don't know enough. But yeah, even Red Dead, they do that shit too. They go through like every character's profile. They go through the historical regions, all the lore pieces that exist in all the books you don't read. They read them for you.
I mean, I read a lot of books.
No, I'm talking about in the games. Like
okay, go ahead.
Who reads the in-game video? You know, like they read all that shit and they summarize that. And then when I look at it, I'm like, yo, that's like 1 million fucking views and engagement, and it just keeps going up. I'm like, this community of people that are attached to this game are so into it. Why? Right? Like, so that's the question I end up with. Why are people that engaged in it? And it's lore. Everything. Lord of the Rings is a great example in like movie land. I realized I need to use movie examples better. The Marvel Cinematic Universe. Why are people so invested in that? Lore. There's so much lore. Everything about this, you can dig a little bit deeper. And I think like that's something I'm trying to do a lot with Montreal right now, is to create lore so that like your colleagues give a shit, because they don't give a shit about what we do. And that's a huge problem for the scene. If nobody that you know gives a shit about what we do, and it's just us talking to each other all the time and like nobody's listening, then what's the point? That's where I'm at. So it's like, how do we make it more interesting as a collective community, more than like what you hear talk, but like how do you do it? So I started rapping about people. Like, I don't care, like, you know, all you are fair game, but I'm gonna do it positively. I made a campaign where it's like, Metikulus sent me beats for my cipher. Oh yeah, I have a cipher we do on Tuesdays. If anyone wants to come through freestyle on the Zoom, it is what it is. But like Metikulus, and it's all Montreal beats. So we found all this shit. Everybody sent me beats, and the Metikulus.
The Crossroads Cipher, ladies and gentlemen. He's being humble again. Go ahead.
Tuesday at what time?
Yo, me and Vince Price is taking over, as I'm saying. That one I'm less humble about. But Tuesday, 6:30, 10:30 p.m. every night. We are going to look into a way to blend real life with the internet, because, yo, we got fans that don't live here now. So it's a little like, oh shit, what do you do when you have fans that don't live here and you're trying to build here? Technology has to blend with real life. But like, so yeah, Metikulus sends me these beats, and they all say, no free beats, purchase your tracks today, right? Because that's Metikulus, is where he's at. And we thought it was hilarious. It became a joke, but he has 7 free beats. So I'm sitting in his crib, and I'm like, what if I took your 7 free beats and I took them and I just fucking made a shitty mixtape, like the worst mixtape I could ever make? And I did that. And then we started this 7 free beats at metikulus.ca campaign. And then my homeboy took the beats and put out a fucking mixtape. He tried harder than I did on that one. And then like we got 8 people to download this guy's beats. And I'm like, oh, I can make fun of Metikulus all I want, because I got him 8 new fucking email leads. And then next man's is like, yo, you help me sell beats. I'm like, oh, say word. This is all really fun. This is getting more fun. And people are like more interested. But it's, you know, so we made up this story about stealing Cool Man Logan's bike. It never happened, but we just started rapping about it for the fuck of it. And then my boy made a song called I Stole Cool Man Logan's Bike. Then I talk about trying to buy his bike on one of the songs. And then this guy in Scotland is like, who the fuck is Cool Man Logan, and what the fuck is happening? Did you guys steal the bike?
Why do you want his bike?
And that's lore. That's where all of a sudden people give a shit, because what the fuck?
Because they want answers. They wanna know what the fuck's up.
Yeah. You got some kooky fucking titles for your songs out there.
Yeah, because like they're all about shit. You know, like I'm not really worried about, yo, rap is a joke. It was the most influential sentence I heard all year from Frank Stacks. Like, rap is a joke, man. Everybody can't be some balling ass gangster fucking rolling through. Everybody can't be doing everything everybody's saying. You know how many times how many times I've heard of the King of Lachine?
What?
Like, who's the king of
There's a
Lachine?
I'm not
king of
going into
Lachine?
names.
Native Beats. That's who's the king
No,
of
but
Lachine.
like, if
Come
you
see us on Duck
if you've
Court.
ever
What's up?
like actually like listened to some of this shit, it gets to that point. Or you listen to like the musics and stuff. I like your music a lot. You have been watching for a while, because your shit's got like on point. I wanted to give you all the props for that.
Because she could actually sing.
But it's not just your music, your social media. You got me to try with reels. Okay, I'm only doing reels because Talia was lip syncing, and I'm like, wait, say a word. You can just lip sync your own music?
Yeah, man.
But I never thought of that because I'm in my 30s and it's a little harder these days.
I won't lie. Like when I first started doing it, I was a bit like, it's a bit weird that I'm like lip singing my own songs, and then I'm like, no, I'm putting out my songs. It's my song, so why can't I? Fuck it. Fuck everyone. Fuck their opinions, and then you just keep going. So.
But like your social media game was crushing last year a lot. I watched you do a lot with it, and I'm like, oh, say a word. And I started being like, yo, this Talia girl is not what you old people are talking about the young people. And you're on that list of names I throw out. Like these people are worth watching because they're not like, because the millennial crowd stereotypes Gen Z like, fuck y'all. Y'all is a bunch of us, and they're not. And you guys are like, your whole group is way smarter. Our group needs to listen to them a lot more than we do.
I actually agree with you on that, for real, because it's like, but you know what, if you look at it, it's like our parents did it to us, their parents did it to them. It's a generational thing where it's like, that's not music, what are you listening to? And it's just like, you're old.
Yo, but the huge difference is their group were like on YouTube at 12 listening to Metallica, Led Zeppelin, fucking Dr. Dre and Drake all at the same time, and we were not. Our experiences are nothing like theirs, and I've interviewed enough people under the age of 25 to know that all of them were on YouTube in their teenage years.
For sure.
And they all actually, if you listen to their music, study all the classics that we criticize them for not listening to, because you can hear it. Like this kid Lynx, he clearly likes Snoop Dogg because he jacked a Snoop Dogg flow. You know, no offense, Lynx, if you watch this, but like he clearly jacked the Snoop Dogg flow, West Coast, Ala Max and shit. You start hearing these, and I'm like, no, these guys like listen to the same people I do. If you really listen to their music. And like I don't get why like we judge them instead of trying to like work with them.
Yeah, y'all judge us, but in reality, like we look back at what you guys were doing, and then we like try and take it and flip it and make it our own.
Yeah.
Just to say, like we were having that conversation. Remember, we were having that conversation with True about like old school hip hop heads, and we were saying I was the one saying that hip hop is not the same for females in the game, and I was bringing up names like Lauryn Hill and Missy Elliott. You would think a 24-year-old wouldn't know who that is, but we know who these people are. We study that shit.
Yo, they had time and an ability to record music at 17. We did not. That's the facts of it, and it's everywhere. It's like somewhere, as of 2008, recording gear gets more affordable, and as of like 2012, it gets really affordable.
Yeah,
so like you just got to consider, imagine you're like 14 with YouTube and a mic, and you could steal beats, and there's no sound click.
It's true, because I literally started on a Logitech fucking like webcam microphone with a sock over it. Like that's how we started rapping. And then like me and my little crew back in the day, shout out to SWS, what's up, we're old. Like we literally had to sell dope just to afford studio time, because back then it really wasn't feasible to have a home studio setup. So we would have to go to Planet Studios or whatever studio we went to, and they're charging like $120 an hour. I'm 15, dog.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? We had to figure this shit out. It's not like it is today.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, you guys have it kind of easier than we did in that sense.
I've never had to struggle like him. I only started in 2012. So for me, the entire game has been like, I'm probably like the first generation, you could call it, of people who literally came in on that internet grind and never had to do any of the other shit. Like literally prior to 2012, and YouTube wasn't the same. Like you couldn't get monetized. Like prior to that, like yeah, there was a SoundCloud, but people were still really heavy on that mixtape shit. They were not focused on the internet.
Was life.
So when I come through with my crowd, we're like the first people to only be releasing a SoundCloud and Reverb Nation and shit. Like nobody was like only doing that. We never pressed albums. I've never pressed a CD in my life. I don't think I ever will. Like, why would I? I looked at the price one time.
If you did it now, I'd look at you weird.
It cost like $1,000 to press the discs, and I'm like, everyone I knew had boxes full of discs, and I'm like, oh, say a word. And so we started looking. I've been looking at the internet since 2012 as a way to market, and so a lot of the things you see people doing now, I'm like, man, we was doing that like 9 years ago, and it didn't work. Like my first song, you know, I messaged everyone, 500 views in a day. Wow. The next time I tried that, 100 views in a day, and then it never worked again. It's the law of diminishing returns, and I don't think people really understand what that means, but that's a whole other thing.
But you know what? Here's one thing I want to big you up on, because we were having a conversation yesterday. We talk about shit here and there, but we were having a really cool conversation yesterday. And one thing that like I learned from you is to not be so bougie about how to release music. Because one thing about me is I'm one of these typical artists who's super self-critical to the point where like if the song is not perfect, I'm not going to release it. If it doesn't have a $4,000 video that looks like a Scorsese film, it's not getting a video. And the reality is, I don't have that money to drop on a video right now. Whereas what you're doing is kind of just more creative in terms of like, listen, okay, I acknowledge that it might not be the best mix song in the world. Guess what? The song is called It Ain't Mixed So Good. Here it is. You know what I mean? And like literally me thinking of that, I hollered at my cousin again, shout out Native Beats. I hollered at him yesterday. I'm like, dude, we're sitting on like 30 to 35 songs. Not all of them are amazing, but there's some fire in that bank. And I'm like, dude, let's just fucking open a Twitch and start
just
putting
drop
shit
them.
out.
How do you
doing?
like not know that they're all amazing? You know what happened to me? Some of the songs I hate the most are the ones people like.
Yes,
That's true.
facts. That's
So
facts.
like you really never know. But the other side of it too is, like I said, rap is a joke. You brought me back to that. So that idea that like anybody in Montreal should be putting $4,000 on a video, considering the lack of revenue coming into Montreal, is the shittiest business tactic ever. I'm not trying to hit your hustle.
I was about to say, Steve.
don't worry.
No, I want to put it other. You get B2B clients a lot, and in the I've talked to you as the B2B guy, and I understand the price points you're looking at there, and that's a great hustle for reals. But like, who the fuck is actually going to make back $5K on a single? Like, I look at Nate Huss's numbers. You can see his Spotify backend. If you look in the back end of yours, you can see what he's getting in streams and shit. You can see what people's videos and views are getting. Yeah, you're gonna get some show opportunities and shit where maybe a Nate Husser can justify this, but like, it's him. Who the fuck else is able? Maybe Mike Shab can justify it. And I'm saying them because those are the two I would put as like, maybe what's her name? Naya Ali.
Naya too, yeah.
So those three I see as like, okay, they are clearly in positions where they're not staying in, like they have shit set up where maybe they can like, but most of us, come on, like y'all are like exactly where the fuck I'm at.
I was speaking with an artist recently about the same issue when it comes to paying for videos and having the budget for it. If you don't have the business plan of what you're going to do with this video, it's basically you're throwing money away.
100%.
You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, you can spend $5K on a video and you can spend $5K on a video.
And
but
get 1,000 views?
But then you're not going to put a budget on promoting it. You're not going to have an avenue to actually get some revenue back. You're not signed. You're not doing anything independent. Like, you're just making music and you're posting it.
Whereas Talia will do a TikTok and get 1,000 views. And she did that shit for free.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, 1,000 YouTube views and 1,000 TikTok views are not comparable.
No, I know, but I'm just saying. But in terms of the visibility, she's more visible than a guy who just drops 3 or 4 videos a year. She's on the fucking timeline every single day.
But like, you just don't need it. You should still do the video. Like, everything we do now is on my
100%.
phone. Somebody lent me a gimbal because they gave me shit and get a gimbal.
I told you to get a gimbal.
You did, eh? It was you. But like, thanks for that. So my homegirl sent me the gimbal. And like, you need an editor for sure. If you're not an editor, find an editor. Because I've edited shit and it doesn't look nice. But the editor can take your footage and make it look nice with a lot less effort than you can. Exactly. But you can just film your own videos on your fucking phone, and nobody that's a fan, as in, like, I had the craziest experience. I put out my like latest mixtape where I just wanted to flex that I could do that many songs, 30 tracks in 6 weeks. Fuck it, I just wanted to flex I could do it. And my homeboy heard it at work. This guy is not connected to music, and he's like, "Wow, dude, your mixing sounds better than like anything I've heard." And I'm like, fuck no, it doesn't. I did the mixing. I didn't master it. How the fuck? I don't even know how to master. So I just rendered a file that I poorly mixed and I put it to the Spotify. And this motherfucker said it's the best shit he ever heard, and it broke my brain yesterday. Okay, it broke my fucking brain. If that's it, if that's where we're at, because these people have iPhone 6s and shitty headphones. You know who has good fucking headgear? Musicians and shit. The people ain't gonna buy your shit. Like, none of your musicians are your peers. They're not really your clients.
But that gets back to what I was saying, because I feel like as artists, a lot of the time we do things with our peers in mind as opposed to the consumer, right? Like, we're thinking about what's the city gonna think when I drop this shit. But when I say the city, I'm not thinking about regular people. I'm thinking about my peer group. How are they gonna look at this when I drop it? You know, when the reality is, who the fuck gives a fuck what they think anyways?
My peer group don't like my music. That's a fact.
You had what's that recent song you just did? Something about pickles?
Yeah, that shit is. I don't like pickle chips.
Why not, bro?
Why? Because I don't like pickles, and pickle chips are not tasty to me.
Just since we did the
I knew it.
Last
I told these motherfuckers.
I got you a little something, bro. I had half a jar of pickles left at home.
This is
And I
amazing.
knew you'd love it.
So this is why I made the song.
Hustle pickles, baby.
No, but for real, I've been
yours
tagged in so
today.
much pickle shit. It's astounding. I'm like, I really don't know if I want to be the pickle chip guy, but fuck it, let's run it.
This
Like,
guy's gonna open up pickle.
I was
farm.
on Twitch and they pissed pissed me the fuck off. These people were just in the chat. Like, there was like 8 or 9 of them. This was one of those rare songwriting streams, because now I do this live, right? All the mixtapes is live. Like, it's not like I'm doing this in secrets. We're on the internet. I'm off the domain and shit. These motherfuckers was like, yo, you can't rap about hating pickle chips. And I'm like, it is literally my stream, people, on the internet. And so I did it. I just did the shit, and then I did the track, and then I got a next man's on the remix because he also hates pickles. And I'm like, I'm not alone in this. So he does his little 12 bars for 16 hating on pickles too. And it's like, it's me and him. And then Merker Miyagi did not like this song. He was eating Miss Vicky's pickle chips as I sent him my clip of this
hilarious.
track, right? And so he gives me back this 12 for my tape, and it's just him dissing me about pickle chips. And I'm like, that's lore. That makes this is lore. Motherfuckers care. Yo, regular people, I mean regular as in non-connected to the music scene, people who are just like there for the sake of the entertainment are entertained. This is what the WWE does. This is why battle rap is actually really starting to legitimize everywhere, because they're tapping into proper organic marketing. Like, yo, like if I can have like these joke ass beefs about pickle chips, it's exactly what 6ix9ine did, but in a way that everybody loves, and there's no snitching and bad shit. It's just like, fuck a pickle chip. And then you're like, yo, I took that personal.
It entertained me. I'll tell you that much.
And so like, yo, this homeboy ditched my other homeboy at the movie theater, so I made a track called JLB Ditch Chris Chrome. But I plug him as a podcasting voiceover guy, whatever in the track. You know, make sure you plug your homeboy. And then you just kind of have fun with it. And then it's like, now if you're in my life in some way, you may be attached to a song or something. It could be like, I went to the Hustle podcast one time and I talked my shit. You know, like that could just be a hook one day, just because that's how random this shit is for me. But then I have like actual albums. Like, this is just like something to do because engineers take forever when you're broke.
That is true. Well, I mean, if there's no incentive, you know, that's kind of how it
But
works.
like, this is all just like boring, like not boring, but like this is just like to do in the meantime while I like have the like actual music I care about that's coming back, that like, yo, club mixes, whatever, you know, proper shit like that you actually think you can sell. Like, I don't think I can sell any of this mixtape shit. I'm just like, yo, why do rappers say they can't rap on beats? Why are rappers so slow at this? Like, y'all are rappers. How come I can write like 7 songs in a day and like do that?
Because of what I just said. We're too self-critical. We're too busy thinking about everything being perfect and what our peers are going to think when they hear it. When, again, the reality is, listen, whether you have a $500 video or a $4,000 video, guess what? The only people that are actually going to notice are the videographer type people and the other artists. The regular consumer is not watching your video saying, I wonder, like, what did he spend on this shit? He's saying, is it an entertaining video?
Yeah. And entertaining is super simple. The best one I did was just filming all the mural art in NDG. That's it. That's half the video. It is like 55 shots of mural art, and then me in the middle. I'm the B shot to that video. And that was like, in my opinion, the easiest shit ever. Anyone can do concepts like that. It's like, yo, you know what nobody really wants to see? I know it's not going to like this. Bunch of people in an Airbnb party. Like, I don't watch music videos anymore.
With strobe lights.
Or everyone in like a underground parking lot with a bunch of beamers.
No, this is the
all,
classic
like,
Montreal
the
video.
bottles.
All of us in front of an apartment building like
it's
this.
the classic I don't have a label behind me video.
Yeah.
It's not here. It's literally everywhere. It's like, if it was just here, cool, because then it would be a Montreal thing. And we could like double down on that, but it's not. It's just like, you gotta go to some weird gritty hip hop looking, bro.
The worst part is you don't even live in that apartment. Like, you're not even from there. What are you doing, bro? Like,
I mean, I
You're
don't
just
want to
standing
come
in
off
front of an
like
apartment
pretentious
complex?
and shit. Like I'm a snob. I'm saying, like, personally, I don't find that, like, I don't watch music videos. Even with like famous people, like when album reviews on the way, I just stopped watching the music videos because the amount of them that are actually interesting to me are so small.
you know what's a really dope example? I don't know if you guys remember this. Fucking Redman came out of nowhere a couple years ago and went viral with a video called "Smack the Shit Out of You." And he's just, have you seen this video?
I think I
The
did.
whole
I
video
remember.
is just him smacking people. I smacked the shit out you, then I smacked the shit out you. Go watch that. It's the funniest fuck, bro. The video looked like it cost $300, and it's the most entertaining rap video I've seen in years.
But it's also like in tune with relatability. Like, yo, y'all generation is kind of way more fucked than mine is. So like, y'all don't have money like that. Like, unless you're on one side of the law, which is a whole other conversation. But like, for the average, most people in the city, like, yo, nobody can afford the drinks in the bars people are going to go fucking book shows at. This is something I'm going to tell you. Nobody solved the drink price issue in Montreal yet. So have fun with the bars, but like, who has the money to really go afford those drinks at your show? I mean, I don't know, but that's why I couldn't sell tickets back in the day. I would go to some of these places and it would be $9 for like a rum and coke, and I'm like, that's $9 plus tip. That's like a lot. That's like the price of the ticket that I paid to get in the show. And that's the problem, is that unfortunately for hip hop, because of a lot of reasons, that's what's available for us. There is not a lot. So we need to come up with an alternate strategy that is completely unlike what has been done in the past, or we will simply just replicate the boring shit that, because you know what people don't want? To go to a fucking bar and see 18 people in the fucking bar and then a bunch of rappers in a disorganized mess. And I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. I have a heavy interest in making people want to spend money on our scene. And like, this is what we have to think about. How do we actually make people want to come? From what I understand, on the young end, you're either rich in clubbing or you're young and at house parties.
What I want to get at is the problem with my generation is everyone has their spot. So if you're going to do an event on a Saturday night, well, chances are they're going to be at Miss Wong or they're going to be at Terrace. They don't want to come to some dingy bar that they've never been to before, and they don't want to spend that money, and they don't want to buy a ticket to get in. It's just, they have their spots.
Get harassed by a bunch of guys like us.
Yeah,
But then there's like, and then what's our brand reputation? Like, yeah, we can get like some love on the internet, but 100 likes is probably 2 ticket sales. I can promise you that's what the conversion rate's gonna look like in real life. I used to sell tickets and people wouldn't come. So even selling tickets is cool because you get a little dollars, but like people would spend like, I'll buy like 4 tickets to support you and then not show up. I'm like, well, I mean, that's cool.
I've been there.
That you've done that, but like, I want to find a way to get people, like, so for me, it's like, how do we get on that loft party, private, make it a little nicer? It's got to be weed friendly.
That's the vibe.
And it has to be weed friendly. That's the huge thing, because the biggest thing that kills shows is stoners. I'm guilty of it. I'm a weed smoker. You think I'm going 3 hours inside of your fucking bar without smoking a joint? You're fucking whack. And it takes me 20 minutes with my conversation outside, and I'm the worst. And I'm going to work on it when I go to shows. Acknowledging it, but we're all bad like that. So like, the only time I've ever seen the crowd stay inside was at Death House in fucking Place Reland.
Death House, shout out to Death House.
And you could smoke weed inside. Cigarette smokers will burn through a cigarette in 3 minutes. It's fucking incredible what a cigarette smoker will do. But weed smokers won't. But you could smoke weed in there. And
You can't smoke cigarettes in there, by the way.
But like, people didn't leave. And I had some of my best shows, 25-minute sets, motherfuckers glued to it. And I'm like, oh, say word, how do I recreate this? And I couldn't figure out how to get promoters to do it. So that was anyway, that's a whole other thing. So I tried to become a promoter, and then COVID happened. So then I swear I had my first show booked March 20th. I was like ready to go. We partnered with Make-A-Wish. And then I found out if you partner with charities, everything's free. And I'm like, oh, say word. The bar was free, the DJ was free, everything was free. And then, Lego shut down the province like 4 days before my show was supposed to happen. So I just wanted to say I was in a position for all the shit talking to try to like actually jump in the foray, so to speak. But now we're going to go to park shows. That's what we've decided. Fucking get vocal amps. I haven't figured that out yet, so don't know when, but like, weekly park shows. Like, what the fuck are we trying to do here? We don't have fans like that, so let's just go to where people are.
Bro, you're kind of like taking it back to the essence of hip hop in that sense, though.
Like boombox and shit.
No, but like park shows, that's literally how hip hop started, bro.
But like, how do we get fans? Like, everyone wants to talk like we can all sell tickets, but again, I've been to so many live shows in this city, and unless it's a festival, I ain't see people going to that. So my thoughts are like, go to where the people is, and then we just can't swear. I talked to the city councilors and shit, like I did the due diligence and whatnot, so as long as we don't cuss, we can go do it in public. Like, we just did a show at Cosmos, the breakfast place. That was random. Somebody posted in a Facebook group and I happened to see it. It was the randomest shit ever. And then last Sunday, we're sitting there in front of Cosmos, we're freestyling at like strangers. Grandmas are giving us approving head nods. There's nothing like a grandma approving head nod while you're rapping. That's like some validation in your soul.
Oh, you seem non-threatening.
I'm so non-threatening. And I mean, like, it is what it is, but like, you kind of, if you're gonna be broad day with children walking by,
right, obviously,
in NDG, the king of gentrification right now, like, you kind of have to be like accepting that it's a lot of moms and shit that are coming at the city councilors. If you out there, I had to like edit my lose weight song. It's very challenging, but like, I can't be talking about like making pussy spray in broad daylight. Like, you just can't be doing that. It's what it is. It's a great song, but like, it's part of the bars again because it's shock value, right? Like, you gotta have an intelligent level of shock value. Okay, the whole point is dudes is lazy and complain about women, and I'm like, yo, just get in shape and fuck her great and watch how your life will get better. Like, that was the whole point of it.
That's kind of bars right there. That should have been the gem drop, I think, maybe.
I got a better gem drop.
He's yeah, perfect.
Bro, I've been watching this shit.
No,
I'm
I know.
like, okay, I'm
And
like,
I want
watching
to
all
big
these
you up
gems.
too, because he's one of like the avid supporter from the jump. So
We've
we
been saying
big
it
you up on that
always,
100%.
Even that's attached to something I'm gonna do.
I bet it is, but still, regardless, a lot of people talk about supporting English Montreal media.
Nobody watches
you
my
actually
shit.
do.
Look, I'll be honest.
Nobody
Support.
watches
I'm
my
a busy
shit.
motherfucker, bro. I don't watch anything.
But
I
nobody
watch this
like,
podcast 4 times while I edit it. Basically, that's all I do.
which I respect, because like, I mean, it's hard, but like, I got really confused on that topic. I've now interviewed easily 50 to 60 Montreal people, ranging from like Don Smooth to like random kid you've never heard of. And like, for all the talk people have of what they know of the scene and all their know-how, like, nobody clicks on my videos, nobody clicks on 514 Online Mix's videos, nobody clicks on all our shit. So like, why do none of you care about your peers is my real question. Like, we're creating the content now, and I'm not saying it because I want money. I was just baffled. Like, yo, you came on my show. A lot of people came on my show and then never bothered to learn about any of their peers. And I'm like, I got the view counts and the watch times to justify the metrics. It's not shit talk, and I'm not even upset. I gain a lot from doing what I do. But I'm still confused for everybody's talk about crab in a bucket shit. Why ain't nobody looking at what nobody else is actually doing in a meaningful way?
It's a valid point.
And I found, how did I find 11 hours of Montreal music, put it on a playlist? You're like the first song. I'm not even lying.
Hey.
I fucked with Talia heavy for a long time. That's like half the reason why I do the show is to meet Talia, because I'm like, I don't know how to meet her. But like, and like, I created this, and this dude hit me up and gave me, it was like, dude, your playlist is like amazing because it sounds like Montreal. I'm like, yeah, because it's 11 hours of Montreal people.
It sounds like Montreal.
I ran this shit in front of strangers, and when they found out it was Montreal, they're like, what the fuck? It sounds so good. And I'm like, yeah, it does. Our city sounds amazing. Y'all need to shut the fuck up with everybody's trash garbage, because actually, no. Everybody's really good, and everybody's really shit at marketing.
That's facts, yo. That's so facts. I love that you brought that up, because there's so many people that are like, I don't listen to Montreal music. I don't fuck with the rap here. And I'm like, bro, I know so many talented people in this game. Okay. I know so many talented people in this game, whether it's producers, artists, singers, dancers, hip hop heads. Like, there's so much talent in this city, and it goes unrecognized because people have a fucking ego the size of a watermelon.
But it also goes back to, like you said, doing everything organically, right? Do you think that's hindering the discovery?
I'm gonna go a little testimonial
of
with
the
it.
podcast and stuff like that, because I know I'm not searching out there like,
So that's
Montreal
part of it.
rappers, and I'm
but
searching for 30 fucking minutes for guys.
I think a lot of us like the shit talk. We like the gossip. Up until, honestly, even possibly beginning of 2021, I'm really into the shit talk. Even some people would be sad if they found out some of the shit I said about them. Twitch, if you do, I'm sorry. It is what it is. I had to learn how to be like a little more understanding of other people's realities. But we're really gossipy magoos. There's almost nobody I know that gossips more than rappers in Montreal. It's actually crazy how many men gossip with me for like the expression being gossip. Like, nah, men are like really big gossipy
Men are worse
magoos.
than women.
Well, no, they are. 100%.
And so I
100%.
realized that we sit in our little shit talk circles. And again, I did this most of my career, and it's like I'm saying it now from this place of realization, but it was when I talked to Pre-Chancobia that I cared about the history before myself. So like, this was last summer, July 2020, and in 2 hours he covered 96 to 99, and I said, wow. Right? Like, I wrote down this whole OneNote page full of just names and places I'd never heard of. Like, people don't know that D-Shade opened for Backstreet Boys. People don't know so much shit like that. Like, Pre-Chancobia is dropping Walkley bangers that sound amazing today. Like, there's this song that's like, I'm from Walkley, formerly ghetto, whatever. I don't remember it proper. But like, yo, this shit slaps. And it's like 2006. I'm like, wait, he had the first solo English album kind of thing. And then you start looking through the history, and by the time 2012 comes around and I'm coming in like, I'm the best, fuck everyone else, I don't know that Rico Blocks is basically me but older. I mean, it's the facts of it. And like a bunch of shit like that, right? Like, I don't know all this stuff, so I'm sitting there in my little fucking bubble, not making any effort within myself to go learn the history of my city. So I put the entire onus of responsibility on every rapper that never bothered to take the time to learn the culture of their city, because it was my fault as much as it's everyone else's fault. And now that I'm actively involved in documenting the history of the city, I feel like I'm not a hypocrite to say that.
I think you're doing fucking tremendous job when it comes to
Like
promoting the city.
there's grant money for documentaries that can be gotten. Like there's so many things that we could all be doing, and it's just about let's document it. Let's do we exist in the eyes of the world? Do you know that nobody knows about our language issues? All I do is talk about our language issues to everybody I interview from not here. I probably educated 30 people about language issues in Quebec. Like nobody raps about it. Nobody talks about it. It's almost like you're okay with the fact that like your mom's right. Like my mom don't speak no French and she has some medical issues right now. And there's a possibility a doctor doesn't speak to her in a language in Montreal that she speaks. These
In
are
Canada,
real,
by the way. Hi.
And Montreal's a tourism center. It's like all of the
Also
people that don't live here are like, what, you guys don't want tourists? I'm like, I mean, Montreal does, Quebec doesn't. Like, there's different things. Like, there's people like, yo, there's an election happening in Montreal right now this year. Are y'all even paying attention? This is going to impact the music scene so much. Whoever the fuck gets in determines our viability of competing with the city or not. Like, Cordair will fuck us. Valerie Plante is going to ignore us. Ballarama might fuck with us. So it's like, you know, who's the guy for Montreal hip-hop? Who are the people we are going to advocate? Because that directly impacts us. And then simultaneously, Trudeau has these shits all matter and impact us directly. You never hear rappers ever fucking talking about this shit. Like, yo, I'm going to be Montreal because I know what the fuck regular Montrealers care about because I go to work and I listen to them and shit. You know, like, that's who I care. That's Montreal. Yo, I talked to Lush One from King of the Dot and shit. And he basically said the sound of a city is whatever the fucking city listens to mixed with hip hop. And that means we are an EDM, fucking metal, fucking jazz, alt rock, islands music, hip hop city. That's what we are. That's the sound of Montreal. That's why I like
It's a melting pot just like the actual city itself.
But those are the genres that have scenes. So that's the city. And all your fans listen to you as much as they listen to them. All of us listen to every genre. Yo, go to the rave scene and tell me that's not litty. Why are we not fucking with the ravers? It's super lit.
Bro, you'll have way more fun at a rave than you will at a hip-hop show. I'll tell you that right now.
But that's what Montreal likes. So, like, what are we going to argue with it? Why are we not all fucking with rave music while we jumping on trap, you know? Like, don't make no sense.
It kind of makes sense because, I mean, like, from a financial aspect, there's a lot more money to be made in that scene than hip-hop here, at least.
And, like, I mean, we're talking about just sound of the city shit. Is what will Montreal give a fuck about? Like, what will the city care about? And, yo, Nate Huss's shit, super dancey. Super fun to listen to.
Flossy and shit, yeah.
And on that, I can't really do what he's doing. I gotta go a different route. If you catch my, like, you know, can't be like that. So I'm like, yo, if you white, jump on that rave shit. Like, I'm just telling you, because we're gonna make that the sound of the city, because people will fuck with that. And like, everybody that's heard the rave shit I made has been like, wow. Yo, I never did anything that had like everybody fucked with it before until I made dance music, fucking pop dance music.
It's what's popping. It's mainstream.
You
top
know,
40
like
stuff.
The Metikulus track we did, it's a dance song. So basically, I'm doing this underground hip hop, freestyle rap shit, and dance pop music moving forward. It's like the weirdest.
If it works, it works. And you know, who are we to knock the hustle, bro? You know what I mean? Like, you got to think of it from the lens of like, what are DJs gonna want to play too? And that's something that people don't think is like, you can make the dopest lyrical, incredible song for you and your buddies in the basement. But DJs in the club aren't going to play that shit.
Yep.
But if you have some hook like, gotta clap those hands, say, gotta clap those hands.
Gotta clap those cheeks.
Motherfuckers are going to be doing it. Yeah, but you can't, but you want to make it clean, slightly cleaner.
Cheeks is clean.
No, but you put hands and everybody knows what you're thinking, but you say hands so the kids can still bump it. You got to really, I want your kids to listen to my song as much as I want you to.
Okay.
So, yeah, I can censor a fuck. It's easy, but, like, yo, you don't want to have the chorus be clap your ass if you can make it clap your hands. And then
I see what you're saying.
The strip club will still run it.
I see what you're saying. We do need a better strip club scene musically in Montreal.
I don't know anything. I've, like...
No, it's true.
But I've never been to strip clubs.
If you go to the South... No, I'm not even saying it from, like, a dirty way, but, like, if you go to Atlanta or Miami... The way to break a record is in the strip clubs. That's where all the records are broken.
Diamonds, baby.
Period.
So where do you
like if your shit's not in the strip
Montreal?
club, you're not popping. Where do you break a record in Montreal? On the internet. There is no real avenue. I mean,
maybe we need to fix that as millennials with a little bit of equity and money in our lives. This is a millennial effort. I'm going to throw it on us.
No, you're right. But again, you know, back to bring it back full circle, I think what you're doing is a necessary first step in the process. Like, bro, I haven't seen anybody create a community around themselves and around interviewing Montreal, because you're not the first person to do what you do. Maybe on your platform you are, but
I think
It's
I'm
been
the
done
first
before.
person in my lane, which is a highly ignored lane in Montreal. We're like the geeky, nerdy, we don't like the party crowd.
Right.
Like there's just, that's most of Montreal, to be honest. Well, okay, like, most of Montreal above a certain age doesn't go out no more. So like, or like I'm a non-parent in my 30s, so I have some extra time, I suppose, to push some shit. And I want to just say, if you're a parent, I've come to accept that you do not have a life that can be like mine, and I accept that, parents out there. But if you're a non-parent and you're in your 30s, we should probably collectively do more, because the fact is, like, I can't do this alone. Like, that's a real situation that I'm facing. It's exhausting, and I'm gonna keep doing it because it needs to be done. But like, yo, you realize you can be like a leader if you want. You could just be a leader. Like, it's, you be a role model. Like, it's like, that's what rappers were until they weren't, until it was cool to brag about not being a role model. But like, you want to talk real hip-hop, yo, they were like all role models in their community, and they all participated, and they all gave back. And you hear what people define a boss as, the motherfucker who pays people. So that's why I'm broke as fuck, but I got 2 people on my payroll. It's a shitty salary they get, but broke as fuck, but got people, you know, like, that's a place to be. And I don't know, yo man, a lot of people don't lose money, and that's what's crazy to me. Like, every entrepreneur is like, I'm a CEO, I lose money for like 7 years and then I make money. And it's like, how is everyone making money? You're supposed to be losing money if you're building your city up. You're not supposed to be profitable. You're supposed to be running in losses because you make your money outside of art. That's what everybody outside of Montreal that I've talked to is like. Yo, like, Gucci Mane in his book is bragging about how $6,500 for fucking Killer Mike and fucking Bun B verse was a steal. Yo, if 6,500 USD is a steal, we gotta get our money up in some other kinds of ways and stop, like, also, you know, we can charge the states, right? Like, why are we trying so hard to charge ourselves? I'm looking at whatever camera, I don't know, that one, I guess, but like, yeah, we can charge the fucking states. Like, yo, I soft offered $100 for a shitty interview one time at USD, and I'm like, oh wow, Americans, right? There's a lot of Americans. Why are we so focused on charging each other when, like, there's American money out there? And they're gonna go like, oh, it's so Montreal and Canadian, it's bougie and a bunch of shit. Like, we just gotta polish ourselves, take pride in our city. Like, we fucking Montreal, we are the city celebrities come to fuck hoes at. Like, we are one of the coolest cities in the world. And yeah, we
are the swag capital of Canada, by the way, just
facts.
to let you guys know.
I'm not the best reflection of that, but facts still. But like, honestly though, like, I take a lot of pride in Montreal. I love my city now. It took a long time to, but when you go into the history and you think about it, it's like that idea, if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. Well, if you don't believe in Montreal, who's going to believe in Montreal? Like, there's nothing that bothers me more than a motherfucker who tells me I'm going to leave the city to go make it and come back. Cool, you the ops then. Like, that... Like, you're not doing what I'm trying to do. And there are a lot of people doing this with good reason, because they tried, they whatever, you know. So I don't want to take shots at people who are living a life that is whatever. But if everybody's doing that and nobody's staying here to fucking build here, then there's a weird flex and a problem. It seems like people try for 2-3 years and then give up. I'm like, bro, Kendrick was a ghostwriter for 7 years doing back end shit before fucking Section 80. Like, you're not willing to play your part for almost a decade, then like, you're not in the same tier I'm in. Like, that's my thoughts. Like, you're not really like me then if you're not willing to put a decade
But
in.
if your kids are starving at home and you got to go overseas to get that food, bro, maybe you got to do that. Maybe that's how these artists are looking at it. Like,
But if
there's
that's the
nothing here for
case-
me.
Yeah, but none of them are getting paid anyway.
I don't
then
understand
the
that
dude that
flex,
goes to
honestly.
TO and starts making some moves in
But
TO.
like-
Like, the dude that goes to New York making moves in New York.
But like,
I
if
mean,
you
maybe
can
that's what
pull
it
that
takes.
off and then you come back here and you do something with
Exactly.
it.
You got to come back here and actually help the city
And
out.
most of them don't, because that has been the flex forever. Go to Toronto and come back. You're not lying about that. There's a plethora
No,
of
not just
artists that have
Toronto,
done that.
LA. And there's people that have gone to LA and become mad successful.
And they never come back.
So like, to me, it's like, yo, shout out Kate Trinata for being here. Like, yo, shout
Shout
out
out to
fucking
Kate
Dirt
Trinata.
Work
That's
for
true,
being
because
here.
that's a Grammy winner, and
Yeah.
he didn't have to
And
come
Dirt
back.
Work too.
That's a fact.
Shout out
That's a
these
fact.
guys for being here, and shout out anybody that's still here. Like, even like people like CY and shit. Like, yo, that guy's been at it like
Shout
as
out to
long as
CY.
I'm at
He's
it.
been hitting
And
us
like,
up.
whatever happens throughout the situation, you start going like, who the fuck's actually here 8 years later? And that's where a lot of people don't get, because I know a lot of people in that like 2 to 3 year range now, and they're starting to get frustrated. I'm like, you ain't frustrated like the OGs is frustrated. Like, people are gonna have to accept this is like a 7 to 10 year grind, and if you're not really into losing money for almost a decade to pursue your art, I can say definitively you and I are not the same. And that is the thing, is I'm not the only one like me. There are other people with that level of tenacity willing to go for the rest of their lives. So it's just remember that. Like, when you choose to pursue something like this, that is not going to be fast. And the ones that do it fast, for all the people like, what abouts? Those are lotteries. You can gamble if you want.
Yeah,
I'm not a gambler. I didn't touch a Bitcoin. I didn't touch a cryptocurrency. I was like, I'm going to gamble on myself and run my content shit and see what happens with that, you know? But if you're a gambler and you want to gamble, go for it. I want to build like an empire that will like be able to hand down to my kids and shit if I have kids and whatnot.
Well, listen, on that note, Talia, I think you know what needs to happen right about
you
now.
know
And
what's about to
I
happen.
know HSR is super prepared for this.
Yeah, it's true. Drop a gem time. I'm supposed to drop a gem of knowledge, of wisdom to impart to the people super short.
A knowledge nugget,
spoke
if you
for you,
will. Look
Steve.
at that.
Yeah, I watched the
Cross-promotional.
shit. I seriously
Steve,
do.
you're fired.
He's been rehearsing that in the mirror all day.
But yeah, think like you're 17, because 17-year-olds are doing what you're doing without money. That's the best nugget I can give you. Think like you're 17.
Mic drop. Mic drop. Just throw
Drop
it
it
at
in
Talia.
there.
It's fine.
So you hear that?
She's pregnant.
Think like you're
I'm
17.
not pregnant.
And why think like you're 17 though?
Because they're broke and they still make music. They still do everything. So if you can think like you're 17, you're not going to worry about how much it costs, because you're going to assume you have to figure out a way to not spend money. So I reduce my costs. I don't, like, that's it. 17-year-olds reduce their costs because they have to ask their mom for fucking everything. And so if you act like that, you're not going to spend $4,000 on a video, because 17-year-olds can't spend that. You might spend $100 on a thing though. That's 17-year-old shit. So you gotta, then you also have to learn. You have to be willing to put the time in to like, yo, I taught myself a lot of things, right? Like a lot of it. Everything you're seeing me do was months of me Googling shit. So when y'all are hitting people up and going, yo, how do I do this? Go Google it. Like, that's what 17-year-olds do.
YouTube.
To be fair, if you want to get on Twitch, I was so annoyed I wrote a 1,400-word guide, hit me up. But, like, honestly, I shouldn't have had to. Y'all could have Googled. So think like you're 17. You'll be a little more autonomous, and you won't be talking about how you don't have this and you don't have that. You're just, even with, like, go watch any of my interviews. Everybody's almost the most creative in their, like, technological ingenuity at any era in time when they're, like, 17.
That's true.
I agree.
You heard it from the man here himself, guys. He dropped the biggest fucking nugget that we had all day. And I just want to say thank you for coming. I like that the tables have turned. You got to interview us, and now we got to interview you.
Yeah, it's cool.
So thank you very much. Holden
Talia
Stephan
needs to
Roy.
come on the show. I'm throwing it out
Talia's
there.
next.
Yeah, I hit
Talia's
up
next.
Talia once upon a time.
Thank you, everybody, for
Oof.
watching the Hustle
I
Podcast.
don't remember.
And catch you next episode.
Take care.
I'm about to go drop some nuggets.
Welcome everybody. Y'all ready for this? The Hustle. My name is Steve Metikulus, and these are my co-hosts. I'm Talia. And I'm Metikulus. You may have heard me on radio. You may have never heard of me at all, but that's okay.
Cause y'all gon' learn today. Your whole life was a struggle, had to make it out the jungle. This is a show for you. Welcome to the hustle under